Now, the Treatment Action Campaign and Doctors Without Borders, both represented by Section 27, have been admitted by the High Court in Pretoria as friends of the court in a compulsory license application. This is for access to a life-saving drug to treat cystic fibrosis. The drug, called Trifactor, is not available in South Africa, but where it is available, it's priced at over 5 million rand a year for patients who need to take it for the rest of their lives. Now, the case is an application for a compulsory license brought by Sherry Nell, who is a South African suffering from cystic fibrosis, and it's against Vertex Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, which is an American pharmaceutical company that patented Trifactor. If Nell's application is successful and a compulsory license is indeed granted, she and others living with cystic fibrosis would be able to use a generic version of Trikafka, which would be significantly less expensive. Let's unpack the story. We're joined this morning by Anele Yawa, who is the General Secretary, and he's with the Treatment Action Campaign. Anele, it's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. And I hope that introduction sort of summed up the issues that are at play here. So essentially, it is a treatment that is hailed as a miracle for cystic fibrosis, but only a miracle for those who can afford it.
Good morning, Michelle, to you and the viewers at home. Yes, Michelle, as you have explained, the problem that we have is that pharmaceutical companies are always putting profit before the lives of the people. Majority of the people across the world are dying of cystic fibrosis, cancer, and many other illnesses. And it's not like there is no effective treatment to treat cystic fibrosis or cancer or any other illness, but the problem is that these medicines are too expensive for poor and the working class background people to afford them to save lives. It is against that reason we are taking this matter to court as friends of the court, so that we can be able to show the court as to say, what does it mean to be poor and unable to afford to buy medicines to save your lives. And if health is a fundamental human right, it therefore means there needs to be access to affordable and effective medicines for all people, irrespective of class, gender, and affordability. So all what we are doing here is to join this case as the friends of the court, not only to support the person who has applied, but to support millions and millions of other people who might die due to not being able to access the life-saving medicine.
Yeah, not a good look for Big Pharma, because Vertex, which is the pharmaceutical company involved here, doesn't sell the drug in the country, in our country, or for that matter, in any places, any developing nations around the world. But it has patented the drug here.
That is the problem which we have. That's why also as TAC, we are urging the South African government, especially the Department of Trade and Industry, to speed up the process of enacting South Africa's Intellectual Property Rights and Patent Laws Act, so that as the country, we can be able to apply the TRIPS flexibilities in the form of compulsory licensing, where the brand is expensive. We are able to make sure that there is generic medicines that are accessible and available for poor people in order for us to be able to save lives. If, as South Africa, we were able to force pharmaceutical companies to reduce prices of ARVs in the country in order for the majority of the people to be able to access them. Therefore, even in this case, we've got the power, we've got the muscle to put pressure to pharmaceutical companies to say to them, to hell with your madness of putting profit before the lives of the people. Let us continue to save lives. So this is what we are prepared to do. Yeah. That's why we are going to court, so that court can be able to intervene on this matter, because there might be many people who are not yet diagnosed in our country who might be suffering from cystic fibrosis, but also our struggle is not about what is happening in South Africa, it's about what is happening across the world, because we want access to universal health coverage. We want access to treatment for all, not only in South Africa, but across the world.
So, I'm just on the website here for Vertex Pharmaceuticals, and its top line here says it invests in scientific innovation to create transformative medicines for people with serious diseases. But cases like this, they raise questions about whether this is indeed about these transformative medicines for people living with serious diseases, or whether ultimately it's about profits.
Vertex and other pharmaceutical companies, we must understand that they are capitalists, and always in their manifestation, what they are doing is all about profit and not about saving lives. If it is about saving lives, we want to see their commitment where they commit class suicide and say, we've got people here who cannot afford and who are dying. Instead of allowing these people to die, let's drop the prices of these medicines in order for them to be accessible by all. We will apply all means available at our disposal. That's why we're starting at courts, but also we will organize and mobilize other activists across the world, in the US, everywhere, so that they can assist us in putting more pressure to Vertex in order for them to reduce the prices of this medicine.
We've been showing these images on our screen next to your interview this morning, and I perhaps think that we should just take a moment to talk a bit about cystic fibrosis and what exactly it means. According to the information that I have here, it is a disorder that damages the lungs and the digestive system, Anele, and it is a disorder, if not treated adequately, that can be fatal.
Yes, it is. And also, if there is no treatment to manage it, it therefore means these people who are suffering from cystic fibrosis will end up being a burden to an ailing health system that is unable to afford effective treatment for cystic fibrosis. So that's why we are saying this is not our struggle as civil society, but also we are calling upon our government to join us. We are calling upon the Minister of Health and other progressive forces to join us on this battle, because it is not about Vertex per se, but it is about affordability and access to effective medicine, so that our healthcare system cannot be bankrupted. Just imagine if you are to buy an effective treatment for cystic fibrosis for one person, it means you must spend 5 million rands per annum for one person. If we've got more than 100 people, what will that mean? It will mean that our health budget will collapse. So that's why we need to stand up and fight for the rights of the people, especially those who are unable to fight and stand up for themselves.
Yeah, so the symptoms is different, perhaps in different people, but they can include coughing and recurring lung infections. And the reason why we're saying it can be fatal is because of these serious lung infections. It can cause the lungs to stop working properly over a period of time. So, Anele, when does this case head to court exactly? When are we able to argue it? And I suppose, the ideal outcome here is that we then are able to get access to the generic version of this drug, which has been patented by Vertex.
So TAC and MSF are represented by Section 27, and we are 100% sure that the court will liaise with Section 27, our legal representatives, and upon receipt of that communication, they will let us know. And then when we know, we will organize and mobilize so that we fill those benches in the courtroom.
Incredibly important story. Health NGOs admitted now as friends of the court in this battle for cystic fibrosis medication to be made available and more affordable here in South Africa. Yanele Yawa is with the Treatment Action Campaign. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.